Hello, everyone. Welcome to Franchise Focus. I'm your host, Lisa Linkowski. I am the owner of Milestone Franchising, and I am a certified franchise consultant representing hundreds of concepts across many industries. And Franchise Focus is all about putting the spotlight on experts in the franchise world. And today I have in studio Joe Ohlweiler, who is the President, CEO of the Alternative Board of Southern New Jersey. And welcome, Joe.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Very happy to have you today, and thank you for coming in studio. So, Joe, TAB, as it's called, the Alternative Board, not really obvious what that is. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what this concept is all about?
Sure. So the Alternative Board, it's three things. It's a board, it's one-on-one coaching with me, and it's content and strategic tools that we offer on our website. So if you think about a large corporation has a board of directors, and most small and medium-sized businesses don't have that luxury. So what I do is I bring small and medium-sized business owners and CEOs together into a small group setting, usually 8 to 10 from non-competing industries. We meet once a month for 4 hours, and we discuss whatever topic it is that each one of them has to bring that month. So I'll facilitate the meeting. Each business owner gets the opportunity to present an issue, and then everyone around the table will offer their, first ask questions, and then offer their suggestion on how they'd solve that problem. So it's really a good exchange of ideas, and you get to hear 8 to 9 other issues in addition to yours. So you get a lot of good insight, a lot of good sharing of ideas. So that's the first thing that we do, and everyone gets that opportunity. So everyone that attends the board meeting also gets that opportunity to present an issue and get those solutions.
Excellent. So you're a franchise owner.
Yes.
And when did you come into becoming an owner?
So I left corporate America, and I was really looking for something to do more entrepreneurial, something that I'd be in control of, and something I could do closer to home and not have to commute to Manhattan, where I was commuting before that. So I was looking at different opportunities, and I found this franchise. This really spoke to my background and what I wanted to do. I've got a background as a CFO and mostly in finance, both corporate and operational finance. And it was that background, when I saw what TAB was doing, offering strategic planning and working with business owners, that I saw that I could take my skills and also accomplish something more entrepreneurial and also help business owners.
And so you ended up, I hear all the time people say, I don't want to buy a job, right? So that was how you came into this. I don't want to buy a job. I want to get into something that is truly entrepreneurial, where it is more strategy, is more of that C-suite level opportunity. And TAB fit that bill for you.
Yes.
So when did you become an actual owner?
It was really the beginning of this year, really beginning of February is when I purchased my franchise, and I really launched in March, and now I've got 2 boards, I've got 15 members, and it's just been a great success for me, and I think part of it's because I'm so passionate about it. It's something I really enjoy doing, and I think I can speak to business owners. I had a business for 7 years as well. About 5 years into my corporate career, I decided to leave, and I co-ran a business for 7 years in the manufacturing space. So I understand it. I understand the good and the bad and the ugly of being a business owner, but then I also have that structure of understanding why you need to build out strategies and the importance of that. So I think when I speak to business owners, they appreciate that, and when they understand the concept of having your own board of unbiased owners that can provide feedback to you and solutions, they just really like that concept.
Absolutely, and you're coming at it as a business owner, as someone also that was in the corporate, the corporate world for a very long time,
Right.
And then you go into this space that then helps other business owners to have a brain trust, right?
Right.
And to have this unbiased, unveiled look at what it is that they're doing, and it gets lifted up not just for one person, but for everyone sitting around the table,
That's
right? And that's what the beauty of TAB is all about, that everyone gets to come together, and it doesn't matter that they don't know anything about that particular industry, because the fundamentals of running a business are all a lot the same.
Exactly.
And the major issues and the concerns are a lot the same. And even if it's a completely different industry, they can lay it out enough that the other people can say, oh yeah, I can see what that issue is.
Exactly. It's 75 to 80% of business is the same. I mean, there's different industries that may have regulatory issues they need to deal with, or certain things that are unique to their business. And something that's great about Tab is we have a website where you can get on. It's called Tab Connect. You can connect to all the thousands of members in Tab throughout the world, really. We're in 23 countries. We've been around for 30 years, so we've got a great library of content, but we also have a great membership base. So if you've got a question that's industry specific, you can post it to all the members throughout Tab and get an answer that way. So really, it's more than just your board of 10 that you have access to.
Right, and that's one of the things that I always talk to my candidates about with franchising is the beauty of that collaboration. And that if you tried to come up with this concept on your own, by yourself, right, you don't have anyone else to really go to and to lean on. And here you have not 50, not 100, but you said thousands, and it's global.
Yes.
So if someone's coming, you've got a board member that comes from some other country and they're coming in here with some sort of issue, you can sit there and talk to someone else who goes, oh yeah, this is what you need to talk to them about.
Exactly.
That's incredible. So do you know how many Tab owners there are in the United States currently, approximately?
It's under 500, but it's in the hundreds, and it's a great community too. When I first looked at buying the franchise, I reached out to 4 or 5 different. They put me in contact with 4 or 5 different owners, and everyone was just fantastic with offering their thoughts and the pluses and the minuses, and making sure I understood everything about it. And quite honestly, there's been a lot of pluses. And I've still relied on those people. Even as I've become an owner, I still reach out to them. And now I'm doing the same. I'm also talking to potential franchise owners and telling them, what's worked for me and what you need to pay attention to. And the support from Tab has been fantastic too. It's really a great community.
Right, so what you just touched upon for the audience is the validation process. And the validation process is where you get to go have this ability to talk to other owners and really talk to them about what it's like to own this concept. To your point, good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah.
And talk to them more in depth about what it's like, and did they have regrets, and what's the day in the life really like. And then you can even speak more about the financials specifically. And if you get that relationship going with someone and you say to them, well, here's kind of my pro forma and this is what I've kind of put together, do you kind of see that this is where I should be? And they may give you some suggestions and say, well, I think it might be a little low on this end or a little bit high on that end. And so you did 4 to 5 validations. Is that what you did?
Yes.
Was there specific people that you asked to speak to when you looked for the validation? Because out of 500 people, what do you do? So did you go based upon geography, because East Coast is completely different than the Midwest? Did you go based upon your level of expertise and you wanted to speak to people that were in the same type of area? What did you do with that?
Both, really.
Both.
So I spoke to 2 franchise owners in New Jersey, 1 in Pennsylvania, and the Philadelphia area. So I got that feel for what's the environment like here for Tab, and also made sure I spoke with people that were kind of coming from the background of being in corporate and having worked in corporate for a number of years. I mean, it's been probably over 15, 20 years since I had my business. So it's been a while since I did that. So how was it to get back into it for them, and what did they experience? So it's important to make sure you talk to all different types of owners. And some were really successful, and some were having a little harder time. And why are they having a harder time? What is it that's causing them a problem? And what was it that made so successful for these others? So it was really just learning all aspects of ownership.
Yeah, and there's typically in franchising, 20% of franchise owners are going to be at that lower level of success rate. And there's all different reasons. They just don't have a real good, strong motivation to get out there and do what it is that they need to do. Or they've got life happening and that's pulling them away from what it is that they need to do. And so you understand that and you talk to those people. Then right in the middle, you've got that bulk of the people that are moderately successful, they're doing well, it's doing everything that the franchise promised. Then that top tier, that 20%, you know, the rock stars, the ones that shoot it right out of the park. So I always say you want to talk to a nice mix of everybody.
Yeah.
You know, talk to everybody and get, you know, the explanation from them about what is it like from all three perspectives, you know?
Yeah.
And it's very helpful.
And what's interesting about our business is we're doing what we should be doing also for our own business, right? So we're working with business owners, and you need to build out your goals and your plans and stick to the plan, right? And stay on plan to achieve your goal. And that's what we have to do as a tab owner too, right? So we have to practice what we preach, and we actually do that. We actually have our own boards within the tab owners so that we help each other too. So we're running our own boards within the tab owners. So it really is practicing what you preach, and that really is contributing to our success.
Absolutely, because again, if you're just by yourself siloed, and now you're not taking advantage of all of the wealth of knowledge that everyone else has around you, you're only hurting yourself,
Yep.
you know, period, full stop.
Yeah.
So that's great that they're doing these boards within the TAB organization, and also that helps you to understand how this whole concept works right firsthand.
And we're helping each other. What's working, what's not working, and you're learning from each other, you're sharing ideas. We actually have my tab board meeting tomorrow with the other tab owners that I'm in the group with, and it's just a great sharing of ideas. The same thing that I do with the business owners, help them share ideas, what's working for them, avoid the mistakes that they may have made themselves. So it really is powerful.
Incredible. So coming back, when you were looking at the franchise space, how did you end up working within franchises? Did you go directly? Did you work with someone like me that's a franchise consultant?
I did. I ended up finding somebody like you that was able to help me out by bringing a number of different franchises in front of me. And in the beginning, I didn't get shown tab, and I was looking at some other things, and then COVID hit and actually kind of made me pivot. Thank God I didn't go down the space. It was more in the exercise space, and got away from that. And then this came in front of me, and my wife and I looked at this and said, this is me. You know, this is in my wheelhouse. This is what I do, and it's something I'm pretty passionate about, because, you know, running a pet grooming business or an exercise, that wasn't for me, and I'm sure it's for other people. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And so when I found it just made so much sense.
Comfort, and it
Yeah.
just felt comfort, and it resonated with you.
Yeah.
And it sometimes takes a little bit to sit there and keep finding that, and you kept at it, and then you found something that was great.
Yep.
And you know, again, timing is everything.
Yeah.
So you ended up going into a space that works very well virtually, because you get to work with the other tab owners virtually, then you get to work with your clients. And how much of that is now in person, though? Like, are you going back into person now?
Yeah, I do my coaching sessions in person. Occasionally I'll have, you know, a Zoom call where it's just convenient for us. But all of my members are local. One is in Ohio, so he's virtual. And my board meetings I have at a country club, and we have the boardroom there, and I have the virtual ability for the gentleman that's in Ohio, so he can attend virtually. And if somebody needed to attend virtually, we will do that. But yeah, everybody's comfortable with being in person right now, so we're doing that.
So you're doing that. Excellent. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to hear a word from our sponsors.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Welcome back to Franchise Focus. I'm your host, Lisa Linkowski, and sitting with me is Joe Ohlweiler, who is the owner of TAB, the Alternative Board of Southern New Jersey. And we were talking about the fact that TAB creates these boards for companies that can't afford their own board of directors, like what the big public companies have.
Right.
So who are ideal board members for TAB? For when you're creating, you said you have 2 boards.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? Who are they made of?
Yeah, so they're small and medium-sized business owners or CEOs. They're accountants, lawyers. I've got a gentleman that owns a manufacturing business, IT business, a staffing business. They're people that realize they need, support. They need somebody to act as a sounding board, somebody that's an advisor to provide guidance. So they're getting that not only from the board, but they're getting it from me in the one-on-one coaching I provide to them too. So it's really about people that want to be more strategic, more focused, both accomplishing their personal vision and their business vision. And they realize they can't do it alone, or they're not getting the feedback that they need from whether it's a partner or their staff.
That's a difficult thing for an owner to admit, though, right? I mean, you have the whole ego piece,
Yeah.
and then you have that whole piece admitting to someone that maybe you don't have it all the way that it should be going.
Yeah.
So how do you find these people, and then how do you convince them that this is something that would be good for them? And how do they then admit it to themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, I have a conversation with people. I'll meet people, whether it's through networking or through LinkedIn, or I'll make phone calls to businesses just to see if they'd have an interest in talking to me and learning more about it. And I think they're intrigued by it, and I think deep down they realize they don't know everything. They don't know what they don't know. Maybe they've made too many mistakes. Maybe they're working way too much, and they're trying to find, how can I become more efficient and more focused and more strategic? And so I'll just talk through kind of some of the challenges that they're experiencing in the business, and then talk to them about what TAB offers and how having a board of 9 other business owners that they could talk to and share their experiences and ask questions on how they would address a challenge or an opportunity, it just resonates with them. And there are times I'll have them guest attend so they could see the experience of a board. That when they do that, it just right away they know there's so much value in being on a board. All of the expertise and advice that they're getting from these other board members. When they experience it, they kind of say, I've got to be a part of this.
Right, fantastic. And to sit there and have, like we talked about, that the owners all, they all get to contribute. Typically, when you're sitting on a regular board, you're all members and you're all just helping just the company.
Right.
That's it. You're just helping that company. But in this case, it really is everyone is coming away. You're even coming away.
Yeah.
I guarantee you're learning something every single time.
Yes, and that's the thing too, is so you bring a topic, something that you want help with, you're also now providing help to everybody else too. You're providing advice. And a lot of times when you're giving advice, you actually are learning, you didn't even realize that's something that you're giving advice on something maybe you should even be doing. You didn't even realize that you kind of had that knowledge. And the other is you're also hearing all these other topics, right? So you're not only learning about your topic, you're learning about 8 or 9 other topics too. So it's just every time, the meeting starts at 8 in the morning, everybody's quiet and a little groggy. By the end of the meeting, it's loud, it's laughing, people are talking. And then it's not a networking group, but the networking happens too. You become friends, you start doing business with each other, and it just builds from there.
So it has multiple levels of benefits, so
Absolutely.
to speak. So can you tell us what would be a good example of a topic that got raised recently?
I mean, right now there's a lot of employee issues.
Yes.
It's keeping employees and finding the right employees, and we really got into culture and values and making sure that you've got the right culture and values communicated throughout identify it first, and that's what I do with the business owners. Identify what are your values, what's the culture that you want in your business, and then how do you communicate it to everyone in your business, and then as you're doing the hiring, how do you find those people to make sure that they fit.
And how many of those people had never even thought about this question in that room?
Yeah, it's one of those, and that's the problem with it. When you don't think about it, it happens. You just
Right.
get the culture that develops in your business, and then you've got to deal with it, as opposed to saying, these are the values I have, this is the culture I want, and this is how we operate in this business. And most of them, they know about it, they've heard about it, but did they actually take the time to write down, these are my values, put a statement together, communicate it with the rest of the employees? No, that's part of what we do with them.
Wow, that's great. And yes, what an top of mind conversation to be having, which is the labor shortage and how to keep employees not from leaving, and then how to
Keep
gain
them motivated
and attract
and happy to work for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly, because that's a lot of times people aren't paying attention to that, and they just thought everything was going along great until it was not.
Exactly.
So really important stuff. Well, that's great. Let's talk about the fact that you've got, when you're coming into, you've been an owner of another business yourself, right? And you were that owner for 7 years. And now you're doing this. There's ups and downs in every business, does not matter. And you're coming at it on top of that during a pandemic. Are there things that have already happened within this past year that you would have done differently? That looking back, that you said, I should have addressed that differently, or I should have done that differently?
Yeah, it's funny because I do look and say, what can I do differently? And I think, there's a lot of learning going on, and I'm trying to perfect how do I find new members and the best way to communicate with them, and sometimes it's the messaging. How do I, because I'm not a salesperson. I'm not trying to sell people on this. I'm really trying to explain this is what it is, and I feel like it sells itself. So I think it's not necessarily mistakes. It's just learning for me. I was more a finance person, an operational person. I wasn't a salesperson, and I wasn't out. I think in a way you're always trying to sell people on an idea that you've got or something. But I also don't want to come across as a salesperson, because it's not that. To me, there's value in Tab, and here's what it is, and it's just trying to find that balance of conveying that to people. And I think people's reaction right off the gate is, what are you selling me? What is it? What are you trying? And it's not that. It's trying to figure out that balance. How do I meet people and explain what I'm doing without making them feel like I'm selling them something that they don't need?
Sure.
I really want them to realize this is something I need, and
Right.
and I don't have to sell them on it.
And as time goes on, and you're more comfortable with this, and you're even more passionate than what you are right now, it will just exude right from you, and then you don't have to worry about any of that.
Exactly.
Because people feel that.
And I feel like too, what's happening now is people are learning about it from others, and people on the board are talking to other people, and I think it just starts to build. They start to learn about what it is and the value that they're getting from it, and realizing I think I need to be part of that also.
Right, and it just continues to build, and then it becomes a referral-based business,
Exactly.
which is very nice.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier that when you were looking at concepts, that you and your wife looked at this and you both said, oh, this is it. So I love that you mentioned that your wife was involved in the process, because that's something that I'm always very passionate about with my candidates, is to make sure that your spouse or your partner is a part of this process. Was she involved from day one, and did she help evaluate these businesses alongside, or did you bring her in toward the end?
Yeah, it was more kind of talking concepts. I mean, she's not the business person, but she certainly understands people and she understands me.
She knows you.
Right. And that's what I think really where she helped was, when I was talking about certain businesses and I'm talking about, well, the cash flow looks great and this, and here's how building out the business plan. And she was used to me doing that in my corporate role too and understood all of that. But it was more about, but is that really something you'd be happy doing, right? And is that something that's, you could be passionate about?
Passion.
Right.
Getting up every day, hitting the alarm clock and going and doing it and
Exactly.
rinsing and repeating every day.
Yeah.
Because again, the contract with TAB is what, 10, is it 10 years?
It's 7 or 10 years.
7 or 10.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really long time that you're going to be totally embedded in this concept, and you want to make sure that you love it.
Absolutely.
And that's why I tell people, I go, listen, if you don't like pets, don't go looking at a pet concept because animal lovers will understand that you don't like pets and they're going to be like, why are you doing this? And you're going to be like, why did I do this? The numbers looked great, but what am I doing every day?
And that's where my wife challenged me on those things.
Excellent.
Do you really think you'd be happy doing that?
Yeah, having the partner involved and having those questions asked of you and making you look a little bit deeper into yourself is just so important.
Yep.
So that's great. And then when you found something and then hearing that support and hearing her say, yes, this is the one,
Yeah.
then you now are validated that yes, this is the way that I should go.
Absolutely.
So all this time later, she's thrilled and she's happy that this is the decision that you made.
Because I'm happy too,
Right.
And that was part of, I left corporate because I wasn't happy. I was commuting 5 hours a day to Manhattan, and after 7 years, it took a toll, and I said I'm not going to do that again.
No, so you've got the work-life balance that already this short into the process, you're already seeing that it's a much better lifestyle for you.
Absolutely.
At this time. So that is great. Well, what we're going to do, Joe, because we're already out of time, is we're going to put your information for how people can contact Joe about being on his board or getting coaching on business matters, any business matters that you have at hand. So his information is going to go up there for how you can reach him and talk to him about more about TAB and how you can be a part of this incredible organization with him. And Joe, we thank you so much for coming in today and explaining to everyone what this business is that you now own. And we wish you continued success as you move forward into your 1-year anniversary. And I'm Lisa Lankowski, and I thank you so much for tuning in to Franchise Focus. It airs every Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And if you want to find out more about me, reach out to milestonefranchising.com. Until next time.